Mike, if you could see the deck, give me a thumbs up, sir. Thank you, brother. All right. Hit the recording button. Oh, no, somebody already started it for me. Even better. All right. Well, then we're off to the races, everyone. It is the second Tuesday of the month. It is 1900 Central, where I'm located at here in beautiful Plano, Texas. What that means is that it is time for the South Branch Monthly All Hands. And tonight, a little bit of a stripped down agenda in honor of the fact that we will be seeing each other in person very, very soon. The agenda calls for a lot of discussion about that. So looking forward to a deep dive through what to expect at SBLC and the complex training exercise to follow. Some really important announcements for everyone, and then our leadership wrap to close us out for the night. Typical rules are in effect, and by that I mean please do be a active policeman of your own microphone. We do have a lot of folks on the call. If you accidentally come off mute, gets that weird echo effect going. We listen to you yell at your dog. It just makes it uncomfortable for everybody. Um, Please, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or save them to the end. We'll hang out and answer questions until the sun comes up in the morning. There will be a few moments that I will ask for some audience participation, so be ready for that. That being said, let's get after it. This is your monthly South Branch All Hands. So this is our current situation report. And if you guys are looking at the part of the country that is the South Branch, you'll see something really unusual. That being, for the first time in almost a year, we're looking at 225 days since I've been able to say this, there are no active operations in the South Branch. Guys, I don't have to exaggerate when I say that this is an unheard of accomplishment, not just in the branch, but across the organization. We've sliced and diced the numbers everywhere we can. Can't find a similar period in our organization's history where we spent so much time under the gray skies responding. It has truly been an unusual period of time. So wanted to take a few moments just to kind of walk back through the last several months of response. So that's starting on July 31st of last year, Operation Further Up the Holler, and taking us all the way through our last demobbed event, which was Blazing Bill down in Central Texas on March 12th. That took us through 23 operations across 8 states and thousands of gray shirts on the ground in the South, responding to a whole variety of disaster. So we're going to skip back in time. If you guys remember last summer, we were all pretty excited for hurricane season, right? We did a big exercise, we did a whole big briefing, we had a battle plan. We were super ready, primed, and pumped to get smacked by a monster hurricane. And then June went, and then July went, and there was nothing out there in the Gulf. It was one of the longest periods. I think we had to go back to like the 1930s, if I remember correctly, of no hurricanes in the Gulf that we can remember. And we were all getting pretty antsy about it because we, geared ourselves up to prepare for it. And then it started raining in Kentucky. So it rains and it rains, and Kate started talking about it as she usually does. She was like, "Oh, Kentucky's in terrible trouble." We were like, "Kate, come on now. You always think Kentucky's in terrible trouble." But then she showed us the reports, and we were off to the races, and we stood up a response that would run for just about 2.5 months, which was kicked off with Operation Further Up the Holler, and then went into Operation Appalachian Spirit. We were across the breadth of several counties. I think we were working in 5 different counties in Eastern Kentucky. What I have here on this slide is the initial IC. So that is the IC who is named in the op board. I know several of these events ran through multiple iterations of incident commanders because of the length and duration of these responses. But these were the gentlemen who got these different operations started. And I'd like to tag out if there's anybody who served in the CNG or in one of those incident commander roles during Appalachian Spirit. Throw your hand up there because I want to hear some of these reflections about what you guys saw on the ground and what those experiences were like for people who were coming into Appalachia, a very unique operating environment, the challenges you encountered, and the folks that you dealt with. And the first hand up was Lynn. So Lynn, why don't you share with us a quick story about Appalachian Spirit?
Well, I walked in, I think it was maybe the 3rd week of the operation. I'm not sure now the dates, but I walked in, had been involved as the membership, Metro membership leader for about maybe 3 weeks, working with EMS, and I was tagged to be the planning section chief in training under Dan and well, I can't remember the IC at the time now, but anyway, it was a harrowing experience because when I went in, it was, I think, a type 4 operation. And then about halfway through, they decided to upgrade it to either a 2 or a 1. I can't remember now. So at that point in time, it just became too much for me to handle on my own, and they didn't have the time to spend with me training when they had so much going on. So I gladly stepped out for the last 2 days and went out to do some some mockouts, which was a change of pace. But I did enjoy it, and I hope that I get a chance to get back into some more CNG operations sometime.
Thanks, Lynn. And yeah, I mean, that's the scope of these rapidly expanding incidents is we get into them and seeing what we encounter on the ground out there can totally change the needs and the scope of the operation rapidly. If you look at how quickly this situation was evolving, the 31st with an immediate response, into the 1st with our first op board, and then every 2 days thereafter, another and another. Incredible reach by the team and incredible leaning in by everybody to help meet the needs. Someone who is in the heart of it, Kate, why don't you give us some on the ground perspective because you were all over this thing.
Absolutely, and still in it, and excited to talk about that. But I first responded as part of the EOC support at the state level. So really feeding information to the teams that were, to the mission planning teams that were getting every one of these operations spun up. You know, feeding that information in real time as it was coming into the state. But what a lot of people don't know is that we were also providing information to the state. A lot of the counties that we had been in, most particularly Letcher County, the state had not had the opportunity to survey that area yet. And so the information that our gray shirts were providing in those first days there on the ground actually painted the picture for the state and allowed them to bring resources to those counties. So super appreciative to all the gray shirts that were there during those first couple of weeks and really helping us get a picture of what was going on at the state level and allowing us to shunt those resources. I also had the amazing privilege to put the IC hat on for DMOB of Appalachian Spirit. So that was my first time in the IC chair and got some amazing mentorship there with Jarrett and had the opportunity to really talk to a lot of the gray shirts on the ground and find out how impactful that this operation had been, and understanding that we were up against Hurricane Ian at this DMOB. So, you know, we were watching it in the Gulf, and the biggest thing that we could do in our last days run up to DMOB was not only prep our equipment to go downrange and ensure that we had a 100% inventory. We knew what we were sending downrange was going to be good stuff. to support our gray shirts in Florida, because obviously it was a big hurricane and we knew we would have a response, but also we were able to train. And the gray shirts that were on the ground in the last wave at Letcher County were some of the most amazing gray shirts that I have come across, because every moment that they had that was downtime, they wanted to be training or they wanted to be preparing things to go downrange. Interestingly enough, I walked off of that operation and I was part of one of the first waves down in Florida. And I saw greater than 50% of those demob gray shirts at Letcher County on those first waves in Florida. So that not only speaks to the impact that our gray shirts are committed to driving, but the fact that they took that training. We were able to do site survey training and core ops training there at that operation. So they were able to take that training and immediately put it in the field. And so they were going out and they were being the strike team leaders. They were being those subject matter experts in those fields. And it was because of all the experience that they had had in Kentucky. So it was an amazing, impactful operation. And for those that don't know, we are continuing our support of Eastern Kentucky by going through recovery operations. We have already launched 2, and we have 1 a month scheduled for the rest of the year. So if you are itching to get back to Eastern Kentucky and you're within that 450, watch your inboxes.
Those have been some awesome recovery ops. And Kate, you teed up the Hurricane Ian intro perfectly. But one other thing I did want to highlight about the Appalachian Spirit response before we move on. And if you guys were in Perry County, you probably felt this especially. But, everybody sort of has hinted at it, but how difficult the environment of Appalachia was for us to respond to, because a lot of our assumptions and our SOPs relied on things that didn't exist in this particular environment because of the nature of the communities that we were trying to respond to, and then how the flood impacted it. So, the history of Appalachia is that essentially you had lots of mining camps that over time sort of turned into towns where people lived. So very, very distributed populations, spread across hundreds, if not thousands of hollers, without real easily discoverable central facilities that we could use for billeting or for, getting resources from. And the places where those things did exist, where there were community centers, schools, large churches, the kinds of places that we would normally set up, all of these places had been impacted by the flood. Any that were still standing after the flood was over were being used to house displaced people. And so it was an incredibly challenging environment. The swiftness of the response that this team executed got us in there early. We got pretty prime billeting in every location that we were responding to. And a lot of the other aid groups were driving up to 2 and 3 hours to go out and work every day. And we were in the heart of these communities, and that's because you guys had leaned in and made the work happen. But so to take it back to what Kate was getting at in the end of her discussion. So, we were some 60 days into Appalachian Spirit, still thinking that the hurricanes aren't going to appear, starting to think that our big operation of the year was going to be the Kentucky flooding. And we're like, okay, like this is it. Like we're gonna, expend our energy here and then maybe get a few more mitigation ops or something before the year's over. That was sort of the thoughts that we were starting to have internally, when all of a sudden one of the largest and most devastating hurricanes to impact the Gulf Coast in many years, the deadliest in Florida in many years, came out of the Gulf, Hurricane Ian, leading to one of the largest Team Rubicon responses to date. You can see here 7 of the 8 projects that we supported in response to it. You can see all of the initial incident commanders who were supporting a lot of these events. Was super proud, super excited to have such a strong South Branch presence Every team, every operation that we ran had South Branch plugged into it. Mike and Oscar, who were a big part of standing up Lee County, were sleeping in a Gray Shirt's house. I believe the Volusia County team might have also been sleeping in somebody's house. Like, we had people who were just connected on that local level, and that allowed us to succeed. So similar to Appalachian Spirit, if you were an IC or on the CNG in Sunshine Strong, would love to hear some reflections from those team members on Sunshine Strong, regardless of the fob that you were on. What was your experience on the ground? And Jude, who gave up his house, first hand up. I love it.
Yeah.
Tell us all about it.
Yeah,
man.
I'm still waiting. Yeah, I'm still waiting for a payment back from Mike and Oscar on that 4 nights of glamping that we did. I'll keep this short. I mean, it was an emotional situation for me, kind of like what Lynn had said earlier, and actually something Tanya said on our greeting meeting earlier, which I'm stealing some thunder here. It was kind of strange being involved in the actual event itself, and then like quickly turning around, having it go over top of top of your house and having your house get damaged, and then turning around right away and getting involved. What I remember, the Tuesday night, I was on the phone call with most of the people that are on this meeting right now, and it was 9:15, and I was still working some emergency management communications. And then realized that I was supposed to have evacuated about 12 hours earlier, and tried to make my way to Fort Lauderdale. Made it as far as Marco Island before I got stuck. Ended up having to bunk with another Gray Shirt friend of mine in Marco Island. Got stuck there for 2 days. Almost saw my truck get flooded as the water rose on Marco Island. It just stopped right before it went into the truck. Got back home and immediately got back home Thursday morning right after the hurricane, immediately heard from Oscar, invited him to kind of stay at the house. We were glamping at that point. I mean, obviously the house was dry, but we didn't have water. We didn't have electricity, but at least we had clean beds to sleep in. And we did that for 4 days. And then, and I was like half helping them on recon and half trying to repair my house, what I could. And then, went off on to set up Lee County and went in as the deputy IC and eventually took over as the IC for about 4 or 5 days, which was a great training experience. I do think it helped that I was local. Yet I had already had a lot of relationships with a lot of emergency management organizations. So, it's kind of our, resilient city strategy at work, I guess, in a little bit. But it was I shouldn't say a wonderful experience. It was a great training experience. Mike and Oscar were friggin' awesome. And I learned a lot. So that's it.
Thanks, Jude. And I love the call out for how this, was the example of resilient cities in action. Obviously, would have been far too much for us to look at Lee County and be like, well, you guys will figure it out. You don't need help. We were primed with resources days in advance to send it. But you being there, having those connections, knowing where to go, knowing where we should set up, it allowed us to get that op board within, as you can see there, right? So the hurricane makes landfall on the 28th. The first, we were up and running in Charlotte County. The third, we were up and running in Lee County, and then everything just followed after that. Jen, our incident command initial from Volusia County. This was a coast-to-coast event, and I know you had a few other irons in the fire on this operation.
So, I was there. We stood up Volusia County. We only ended up being there about 3 weeks because at the time we were there, the floodwaters were still up in much of the area we were in. So there were neighborhoods that we couldn't even get into. But what I really wanted to say about Sunshine Strong, and like you said, I went on to go to Lee County and then Lee County 2.0. But one of the things that I found most amazing and wonderful and a testament to the organization is the amount of training that happened while we were there. Them standing up the RDC, and I'm probably stealing someone's thunder down the road, and so I apologize a little, but not a whole lot. But just the amount of training that we did, I will say in Volusia, because of the way things kind of fell out, the way we worked it was as gray shirts came in, we immediately had them jump online and do the field service training. And I think that that helped us out tremendously. And then, you know, all the training that happened at the RDC and just out in the field was just hours and hours and hours of gray shirt training happened during this entire evolution. And it was amazing.
I couldn't agree more. And the integration of on-the-ground training and advancement via, especially the team at the RDC, but other places, really changed the face of this operation. I think, you know, most of the training the organization did last year by the numbers, and Jeff will slap me if I'm wrong, was deployers to Florida, getting trained, and then immediately putting that skill set to use in the field. Lynn, what you got, my friend?
Yeah, I want to comment on the setup that we had at Charlotte County with the FEMA. I don't know how that happened, but I think that was probably gave us more flexibility to do a lot more things that we wouldn't have been able to do because of the fact that we didn't have to spend a lot of money on food and other stuff like that. And I don't know if that's something that's going to possibility in the future, maybe, now that we've done one with them. I don't know what the intake on that was, but that was, I mean, I spent 4 weeks in and out of that facility, and it was just amazing to have that there. Even though I was going home every night because I only live 6 miles from the FOB. So, is that something we think will be happening in the future?
Lynn, that's a question that I can't necessarily answer. But I mean, in general, getting into those FEMA camps, and if Sunshine Strong was like your first taste of like a large Team Rubicon response, or your only taste of a large Team Rubicon response, people's perceptions are probably going to be blown the next time they go to a big one and they're sleeping in the gym and smelling a bunch of sweaty feet and eating cold cereal every morning. Apologies in advance. But so that was a newer thing for us. At least in my memory, I hadn't deployed in a situation like that. And the big thing there was basically because FEMA and the state of Florida had the emergency funding to run those camps. We had the connection through the state of Florida to get into them and occupy a certain amount of space. And agreed, it freed us up to do a lot more stuff. It freed up funding to go to other sources. It also just freed up our personnel, right? All of the camp administrative work that was being done by a contract team provided by the state is typically work on an operation that we would have gray shirts doing. You know, we'd have a gigantic logistics section doing feeding and cleaning and supply runs and laundry and all kinds of things that were taken care of on the camps. It made that a lot smoother and allowed us to put more gray shirts into the field. Which ultimately allowed us to help a lot more people. Is pretty incredible. Rich, I'll take you, and then I'll have to move on from this one.
So unfortunately, I didn't actually make it onto the ground for a period that could be measured in days. I did a cannonball run with some trailers down, hit 2 FOBs, and then got a flight out of there due to work. But I was on a lot of the planning calls, and both before the storm hit and after the first week or so after. And I will say that that was some of the most inspired and creative planning I have seen from our organization in a long time. On the log side, especially, you know, it was how do we get 100,000 pounds of crap to Florida in 15 minutes? Well, we can try this, we can try this, we can try this, we can try this. You know, nothing was off limits. Nothing, you know, everything was up for discussion. And it was some of the best work I have seen from our folks in a long time. And I don't know how many thousands of pounds of coffee we must have gone through as an organization during that time. But it was phenomenal work. And some of those lessons learned will definitely help us in the future.
I totally agree. And, we've already done a lot of AAR, even on just that planning process. We're hoping to refine, streamline, and standardize some of those planning ops to make it a smoother experience and make it more seamless, because ultimately better planning will mean better execution on the ground. I'm gonna pivot now. So Sunshine Strong, like I said, one of our longest running operations, took us all the way into mid-January. But this has been the last several months within the branch. We've seen winter storms, an unusually strong early tornado season with lots of impacts that we measured across the branch. And also a ton of investment in an area that's a little bit more unusual for us. That's our mitigation recovery work. You heard Kate hint at that earlier. The Texas team has been hard at work getting people in the field, exercising and building out the mitigation arm of the branch. So lots of excellent work there. I know lots of folks that I can see right now have sat in either a CNG seat or helped plan some of these responses. Phil, my IC for Bayou Strong, prior to that recon member for Mississippi. I don't know if that was the one you were going to jump in on or one of the others, but would love to hear some of your perspective, sir.
Yeah, I was just thinking something that was interesting that I wanted to bring up about Bayou Strong was it was, for those that don't know, it was a tornado op that happened just on the other side of New Orleans in Gretna, Louisiana. And one of the really interesting things about that is we were the only nonprofit to be operating in this area. You're talking about an area that is impacted by a lot of disasters, right? Katrina, and the list could go on and on. One of the difficult things that we were having was sorting through what damage was related, had a week before Christmas, what damage was related to the actual disaster we were responding to, and what still was impacted by the hurricane that had come through a year before. And Gretna is a very high SBI, marginalized and underserved community. And one thing we really battled initially, and still continue to have work to do, is the historical narratives of nonprofits in those areas that didn't do right by the people in those communities. But I'm happy and proud to say that Team Rubicon is not one of those nonprofits. And we established a lot of community trust and rebuilt relationships and restored love and trust in those areas. And I couldn't have been prouder of the people that I was serving alongside with. Isis and Aaron and Evan, and we had this great meeting with the Gretna City Mayor. And it'll probably, who knows, maybe it'll be in the documentary or not, because they were there. But the thing that was really powerful that I want to leave you guys with is what the Gretna mayor said to us. And she said, Team Rubicon is going to be part of our incident action plan. When something happens in Gretna, Louisiana, Team Rubicon is the cavalry. And nonprofits do what governments can't and businesses won't. So that's the impacts we are having in these communities, from whether it be Bayou Strong to 54 miles in Selma. Like, we're restoring hope for communities that have gone without a lot of hope for a long time.
I love your call out there, Phil. And I couldn't agree more. The work that this team has done in Selma is something, it's some of the stuff I'm most proud of in my, 6 years with Team Rubicon now, is seeing us continue to respond to that community often being the only organization on the ground now. Operation 54 Miles is the third time that we've gone to Selma, Alabama. Selma, obviously, super historic, super underserved population, high SVI area without a ton of community resources. And when we go there, there aren't a lot of other organizations there. There aren't a lot of other government agencies there. And so, going back to Freedom Bridge, Freedom Rebuild from the last 2 years, and then 54 Miles this year, responding to that tornado with our full capability set, starting out with traditional tornado, expedient home repair, transitioning to muck outs, transitioning to full home demolitions. Some incredible work, some incredible hard work by a lot of different folks to give that community the support that it needs. And really excited to share with this team that we're looking at going back in April with the rebuild team to get some additional support for that community, because we know the need that's there. And that's true of so many of the communities that we work in. But we talk about generational impacts and the ability to make change. That's such a huge one for us. Jason, my friend, I see your hand has gone up.
Hey, so I'm not sure if I'm jumping the gun here if you're going to segue into more 54 mile stuff, but I can't help but share my reflection on getting the opportunity to go down there for a few days, kind of at the tail end when all the HE badasses were in there getting shit done. So I showed up and Derek Shea was there. He was fried, right? He's been to IC for a couple of weeks. All the heavies are out there. Sam Van Zandt, the HE03, they're training, they're tearing down, they're moving debris to the road. I'm out there kind of doing the comms role that I volunteered for. And I can't help it, as I walk around, I see all these community members and they're out and about and they're all talking to me, right? And I say, do you know TR? Oh, yeah, we know TR. So, the point of the impact on the community, I spoke to so many people. Everyone I saw, that saw a gray shirt, they would speak and say, thank you for coming down here, right? So on Sunday, we went to church at the Tabernacle Baptist Church. Jesse Jackson spoke. 3 members of Congress were there. We met Maxine Waters. She's walking out. There's 6 of us to get the back row, trying to be inconspicuous, not draw attention to ourselves. And she stops. And Maxine Waters says, Team Rubicon. And so she had a moment where she was thinking, who are these people, right? So I hope a member of Congress went back and looked up TR, and she shook Art's hand. She shook our hands. We didn't get a photo op because we weren't taking pictures in church, right? But what an amazing time. It was so impactful, and I was just happy to be, a small part, trying to do some comms work and get my feet wet in the PIO world. And see the HEs, the heavies were, they were killing it, right? They're out there just knocking it out of the park. So anyway, that's my reflection on 54 Mile.
Great, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that that's an excellent note to sort of conclude our oral history of 225 days of continuous operations on. That's when that your organization, you're part of a great organization doing the right things, is when you can go to a community like Selma, be recognized everywhere you go, just by wearing the gray shirt, for being a helper, being there to help make things right. So I'm going to pass the microphone to San. He's going to lead us in a toast to 225 days of operations, because hell, that's something, folks. That's really something.
Guys, it's awesome. And looking at some of those different operations, one of the things that I have the honor and pleasure of doing is going to several of those operations and talking to all the gray shirts, talking to CNG, being out on some of the ops, doing some of the work with you guys. But it's almost like a family reunion every time I go from one op to op, because it's amazing, running to Tim, running into different people, Oscar, several people that are on this call in several different places, man. It's just amazing. And so I told the team before today, letting them know that, hey, man, you know, tonight, not often do I drink, but when I do, it has to be for a good reason. And I don't want to be like the guy from the Sakis, but when I do drink a little bit, I have a good Bailey's every so often. And so what I want to be able to do, man, this is an accomplishment. When they told me that South Branch had the most continuous operations, 225 days of operations ever in TR, that's something to get a toast to. And I want to say cheers to everyone on this call, everyone that's not on this call, everyone from South, North, West Branch that was involved in what we did here in the South Branch. Cheers to you all. Tilt your head back just a little and put out your pinky if you need to. Excellent. Congratulations, guys. I applaud all of you guys. Great stuff. Over to you, Drew, my friend.
Thanks, Son. And like I said, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it allowed you to reflect on the accomplishments and work that you guys have put in. But also, I hope it gets you really excited about the future, because every time this organization does something great, man, we put our heads down, we put our shoulders into the back of it, and we keep pushing until we do something greater than that. So, we are under 2 weeks from the best damn leadership conference that you're ever going to see. So we're going to take you guys through a little bit of a walkthrough of what to expect, so we can answer a lot of questions, hopefully get you guys pretty excited, and get everyone prepared for SBLC. So with that, I'm going to pass the microphone over to our mobilization guru, Derek, and he's going to talk about how you're going to get there.
Good evening, friends. Thank you for that. As everyone that's on the chat talking about the oral histories and just going about why we do this and a reflection of the things that we've done, and then we get to roll into these trainings and the conference that we get to learn more and improve the skills that we have. So appreciate the honor of being able to help you all get out to this conference and out to this training. You can kind of see some of the numbers there. We are looking to have it over 100 people at SBLC. About half of those people are going to stay on for the training exercises. And some of the things going on there, as is typical with a operation, if you're less than 450 miles from the operation, you'll be driving. More than that, you're going to be flying. And we will be getting out those dispatch instructions in the next 48 hours or so. If you are a flyer, you'll have that flight information at that time. Those instructions will have your the point of contacts, the links for, there'll be a conference Teams channel. So if there's questions, there's issues that come up, mob related or whatever else, you can reach out to that, and we'll have volunteers and staff manning that channel to make sure that questions get answered quickly, to help you out. And then just kind of hitting some of those highlights, you'll see later on, they'll talk about the agenda. But for those drivers that are getting there, stuff's not starting till dinner time that night, so you don't need to get there at 8 a.m. Rooms will be available about 3 o'clock that night or that day. So you can start getting there around that time, get yourself checked in, make sure you give yourself plenty of time to drive to get there. Flights will be getting in around lunchtime, 2-hour drive from New Orleans to Camp Shelby. So we'll get you there in time to check in, get your bags and all that stuff settled, and then we'll start off the festivities of the conference. There will be more information coming. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me via Teams or email, and I'll be glad to help answer any of those questions as we go about. That's it for this slide.
Thank you, Derek. So now that you know how you're going to get there, I'm going to pass the microphone to our Master of Ceremonies, Kate has worked hard to create an awesome agenda. So, Kate, what can the people expect?
Lots of fun, lots of learning, lots of discussion. So I'm really, really excited about this agenda and the workshops that we're going to be presenting at South Branch Leadership Conference. We have so much content. It's crazy to fit in. But Derek was talking about some of the things on the first day. I kind of want to let everybody know that the first day is really that travel day, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to do stuff. So on that first day, really the big event is going to be our welcome campfire. That is going to be hosted by Son and Drew. So get your questions ready and bring those. But really, we're going to launch into things that we've learned over the last year and things that we see that we can improve on, right? So again, event management and Asana, those are getting into that EMS and figuring out how to throw those amazing events, how to use Asana as project management. We're going to have our folks from BrandComms come out to talk to us about telling our TR story to build the bench and how to talk to media in the field. So really excited to partner with our BrandComms folks to get more information about that. So, learning how to give those field interviews and what to say and, maybe some of the stuff, what not to say. Our logistics folks are going to be talking about, hey, it's more than just stuff. So all the things that go into logistics. Oscar and friends are going to be presenting on mitigation. Really excited to see that because mitigation is something that the Texas team has been doing amazingly well and we can all learn from. We're going to have a session on austere recon and route clearance, what that looked like in the past, what it looks like now, and what we hope it looks like in the future, as well as we're going to bring some members of our CEO's Action Group or the CAG together to talk about TR culture, what it looked like back in the day and where we're going with that culture. So these are the workshops that we're going to be presenting. If you'll flip to that next slide there, Drew. But we do have those individualized sessions. So those are the things that you guys are going to be able to pick from, but we also have all hands sessions. Again, I mentioned that welcome campfire that Son and Drew are going to be hosting. This is going to be kind of an informal environment, but really an AMA for, you guys to talk with these two leaders of our branch and bring those questions to the forefront. One of the things that I'm most excited about is that we are going to be hosting a diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging panel. This is going to feature members from the South Branch and is going to be moderated by Mark Rogers, who is the Deputy Director of Program Design and Evaluation. Mark has been in the field with us. He's an amazing individual. Really excited about this panel, but we're going to be talking about the communities that we serve and how do we increase the impact to those communities, but how do we be an ally for our fellow gray shirts to make TR the best place to volunteer in the world? We're going to have our development folks on talking to us about money. How do we fund all of this? And what part do you play in that development? We're going to have our functional breakouts. So if you're a Metro admin and you're like, I'm new to the game, I really don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Who are the other Metro admins out there? You're going to get a chance to meet those Metro admins. Loggies, you guys are all going to get together and talk about log stuff. Our mobilization team, you guys are going to get to meet together in person instead of all being virtual. So it's really a good time for us to get together with those folks across our functions to actually get to meet each other face to face. So we're going to have some time for that. Team building fun. I'll let the experienced team talk about that, but we are going to have some fun in this. It's not all work, I promise. And then we're going to wrap up with a cultural campfire and awards. So really excited to see you guys in just over a week.
Thanks, Kate. Love the infectious enthusiasm, but all that sounds like it's going to cost a lot of money. So I'm going to pass it over to Carol, who's going to tell us about expense reporting.
Good evening, everyone. Everybody wants to know, show me the money. So here's the coding breakdown for your expense reports. We're going to cap the mileage at $120 per round trip. We're going to reimburse you and fuel you with meals en route for up to $35 as usual. Please make sure your PEX card is active and linked to your Concur report. And if that last sentence doesn't make any sense to you whatsoever, reach out to one of the finance people, will help you. Kate mentioned the functional leads will get together. There will be 4 of us from the finance department there. So find one of us and cry on our shoulder and ask for help. That's it for us for this slide.
Make sure you get your damn expense reports in.
Yes.
All right. Well, now that we've scared you with the finance beating, Evan is going to get us excited again by telling us about some of the fun and games.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew. Well, I want to start with a special shout out to Roy Lombard, Jeannie Randberger, Laura Block, and Jen Nieder for all of their creative ideas and behind the scenes magic to help make SBLC a great experience for everyone. So we have a few activities planned for that weekend that we're excited to share. On Friday night, after the welcome campfire that's hosted by Son and Drew, and after the beer flag is raised, we'll have a night full of fun games, healthy competition, possible shenanigans, and awesome fellowship. And then rumor also has it there will be a candy buffet, so don't miss out. And if you'd like to volunteer to bring one of your favorite games to play, that would also be super awesome. So reach out to me and we can coordinate that. And then Saturday afternoon, we will break into smaller groups for a first of its kind TR style relay competition, where we will lean on each other to complete activity stations and then leverage our unique knowledge and skill sets and compete as a team, as teams for the title of South Branch champs. So more info on that is going to be shared on Friday along with the team breakouts. And then Saturday night, we are bringing back a favorite South Branch phenomenon that never fails to leave us all in stitches, Family Feud TR style. And your host for the evening is going to be the one and only Jen Nieder. So it's guaranteed to be a blast. And if you would like to participate as a contestant, you'll have the option to opt in during check-in on Friday. Or you can always just make fun of everyone from the audience. So with that, we're really excited to see you all. And I hope you guys have a fantastic time at SBLC next week. Thanks. And back to you, Drew.
Thank you, Evan. If you guys didn't hear, Family Feud live and in person was a smash hit at the South Texas Leadership Conference back in January. So they've expanded it, revamped it, made it more raucous. Jen, is that why you raised your hand, to tell us about that adventure?
Well, I just wanted to throw the gauntlet out there that there were some amazing costumes at the South Texas Leadership Conference when it came time for the Family Feud Gray Matter edition. So I think, Evan, if I'm not mistaken, we had thrown out the idea of 80s being the theme. Does that sound right?
Yes, that's the one thing I forgot to add. Yes, we finalized if you guys want to all participate. Some of us are going to be all decked out in 80s attire.
So if you have a favorite character from the 80s, I don't know, somebody wants to dress up as Alf, I will not confirm or deny that I will be wearing a wig, although we all know I will. So yeah, I challenge someone out there to have a better costume than full-on George Washington, which was amazing.
I'm very excited for seeing full-on George Washington and Alf live and in person in Central Mississippi. All right, let's now move into the next phase of SBLC, which is the training exercise portion. So Derek, back to you, sir, to round out some of the transport for folks who are going to be sticking around for the training exercise.
Well, thank you. And I did forget to mention something on the last time I was talking, but I knew this slide was coming up and I could still catch everyone's attention. So those of you that have looked at your roll call and seen endorsed or reconfirmed, I needed a way to notate that and if you're endorsed, you're doing the conference as well as the training exercise. So that's what those differences are. Is that's just a way for me to be able to track the people that have responded, and as I start going in and doing flights and all that stuff out. So that's what that little tidbit is. And then almost everyone that is going to the training exercise is already arrived at Camp Shelby for the leadership conference. So getting there should not be any problem. Those of you that are going home will head out after breakfast on that Sunday morning. We'll have a transition day, and then things will kick off on the next day. So everyone should be there already. So that part should be easy enough. Getting home will be at the end of that week with our shortened timeline. We are not going to have any split schedules like we did when the conference was going for like a week and a half, or the training was going longer. So you're either going for all the time or not, but it's not as long of a time this time. And then with getting home with the flights, we'll leave after breakfast, get to New Orleans 10 o'clock or so, and our flights will be out at that around lunchish time and get you all home for dinner. And that we'll still have the same Teams channel. You will not receive additional dispatch instructions because they'll be customized for your single trip experience. And again, if you have any additional questions, please feel to reach out and we'll be glad to help you all out. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. And now that they know how they're getting to the training exercise, and for most of us, it's just go to bed and then wake up the next day because we're already at Camp Shelby. Let's hear about what awaits us, and I'll hand it over to Jeff.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Yeah, so we're actually looking to have a pretty good time. This is going to be an operation that we are doing on Camp Shelby. As such, we're going to have command and general staff. As you see, that is going to be robust. We are looking at plussing up each of the positions in an effort to try and build our bench, get some people some repetitions, and just really raise that level of experience and confidence in performing those tasks. We are also going to be doing proficiency events. This is for any level of proficiency. Come out. There are way more than enough trees for everyone to come out and get a turn. There's a variety of different scenarios, and if we need to create some to get some stuff signed off, that's certainly something we can look at doing. We are going to be running a Chainsaw 1 class there. It's going to be a rather smaller class, but the details are still getting fleshed out on that one. Going concurrently to this is going to be C2. That will be for the duration of the week, and that is being headed up by field leadership. And then comms will be coming out and running a PIO course that they are trying to pilot and see how that's going to work out in the future and try to flesh out the little details to that. Pending any questions, it's back to you, Drew.
Thank you, Jeff. And with that, we'll roll it over to Carol, who will once again tell us about all the money.
Hello again. All right, so the coding is different from the previous slide. The mileage round trip still 120. That's for your entire trip, no matter which one you go to. Again, the meals are the same. The last line, if you are coming for both exercises, both the exercise and the leadership conference, you will use this coding. That's it. Again, finance will be there if you have questions. Look forward to seeing you all there.
Excellent. Thank you, ma'am. And so now back over to Jeff, who's going to tell us about our exciting living conditions on Camp
So,
Shelby.
hey, I'm back again. Yeah, so like I said, this is going to be an operation style event. We can look forward to our nightly campfires, something that I have always really enjoyed. We will be staying in open bay military style barracks. I know it says bunk beds on there. I did not mean to put bunk beds. They are single beds, and they will have a wall locker between them. So there is some sense of privacy. I would say that the weather is going to be unpredictable. I think South Branch is aware of Mother Nature and her crazy whims. Right now, we're looking at it's going to be on the warmer side, but it's going to be wet. So sounds like pretty much anytime we go to the coast. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there, and I think it's going to be a fantastic time.
I'm very excited. But that being said, guys, want to kind of hit on just some overall goals and expectations for what we're doing out there, because I'll have to, like, be upfront, right? Like, this is a big investment from the organization. We put a lot of time. We're going to spend a fairly significant amount of capital to bring this team together in Camp Shelby. If at the end of it, all we can go back to Art and Jeff and say is like, well, we had a great time, that'd be a pretty big miss for us. We really want to use this time for all of us to come together, grow together as a team. You guys saw on the agenda, there's lots of deliberate discussion around pulling together as functions, pulling together cross-functionally, making sure that we are interfacing with each other in both professional goal setting and just in social ways, so that we learn how to work together better. This team has been working together at a very high level in very high stress environments. We want to transition that a little bit to make sure that we're tightening those bonds, get to see the other side of each other, so that the next time we're thrown together to respond to something, maybe the stress is down a little bit, and we can work together a little bit faster. We want to grow you guys as individual leaders in this organization. Everyone on this call is a leader. That means that Gray Shirts look to each and every one of you for orientation, to understand our organizational values, to understand our organizational culture, to know what to do when they're in the field, when they're in blue skies. How do I sign up for things? What do I engage in? Where do I go? You guys are the ones who are the leaders for this organization. You individually interact with the leaders of tomorrow, with the people who will be responding to that next disaster, who might be on their very first response, won't know what to do or what Team Rubicon's all about. So we owe it to them to make you guys into the best leaders that you can be. Those things only happen if you guys come out to this programming and fully engage in it. So come with your minds open, with your hearts open, take notes. And if the lessons you learn and the things that are imparted to you there stay with you, then that's a miss on our part, right? We're planting 100 seeds that we all expect to grow into mighty trees in all of your communities, so that we can really continue to execute on that resilient cities that Lou was talking about earlier. And then last but not least is just continue our growth and evolution as humanitarian professionals. I saw a question in the chat that was kind of asking, like, hey, what's the deal with a DEI panel at SBLC? I thought that TR was all about accepting everyone as they are. And that's absolutely true, right? Like, everybody knows the only thing that a gray shirt cares about is, are you here to serve others? Which everyone on this call is. But we also have tons of internal awareness that how we present ourselves to other communities matters a lot. We need those communities to trust us, to buy into us. That means that we need to be able to talk to them, to connect with them as individual humans, to understand their perspectives and experiences, so that when we're, reaching out to them and offering them a helping hand, they don't misunderstand what we're trying to do, or not realize that that's what we're there for, that's what we're about. So we as an organization need to build that trust and build those connections, which means we probably need to have some good hard conversations about how we've been perceived or how we, might misunderstand needs when we run into them on the ground. So we're going to continue that evolution and growth as humanitarian professionals and make sure that we are able to help the folks who need our help the most. Going to shift now to some exciting announcements. We have 3 new team members who are joining us this week. Jim, I'll kick it over to you first to start us off here.
All right, thanks, Drew. So first up, and unfortunately she wasn't able to be on the call tonight, is Annette Gurman. There on the left side of your screen, picture of Annette that I believe she just took today with one of the Get Shit Done posters out at LAHQ where she's doing onboarding. And then another photo of her and her husband from last year at her daughter's wedding. So Annette is joining us as the new ops associate for the Carolinas. So she'll be overseeing North Carolina and South Carolina, and she's going to be hitting the ground running. She'll be out at SBLC with us next weekend, and then immediately followed up, we're going to some EMA conferences up in North Carolina to get some of those connections just rolling right off the bat. Next up, we have Tanya Holloway. There in the center, a picture of Tanya while she was out at LAHQ a couple weeks back, 2 weeks back to be precise, whenever she onboarded with us. And then there below center in the middle is her and her lovely husband. Tanya, I believe, is on the call, so I'm going to have her come off of mute and introduce herself to you.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tanya. You did a great job introducing me, but I'm just happy to be here and see everyone's faces. And I got to meet some of the North Florida volunteers this evening, and I look forward to working with everyone. I come from a background in emergency management. I have worked with the American Red Cross for 9 years. Prior to that, other nonprofits in different sectors, but still very much familiar with working with volunteers and working with communities who need help. So, and I picked the wrong day to have a blue drink because now my teeth are blue. So excuse my blue teeth, but and tongue, by the way. But other than that, I'm glad to be here. Happy to see everyone, and look forward to getting at it.
All right, appreciate it, Tanya. And I forgot to mention, she said it. She's in North Florida, and she is our newest North Florida Ops Associate, and she will also be at SBLC next weekend, so everyone can have a chance to meet her also. Back to you, Drew.
Thanks, Jim. And then those of you very astute out there probably figured out there's 3 people on this panel. The third gentleman on the photos you see before you is Justin Lynch. Justin is our new planning associate. He's based in Jacksonville, Florida, where he makes his home with his lovely wife and daughters. And he has been working in the Florida National Guard in the state EOC as a planner. He had so much fun last year that he was like, what if I just did this all the time? So Justin, do you want to come off mute and say a few words to the nice people, sir?
Hi, gentlemen. It's been great to listen to everybody talk and kind of hear some of the stories about everything that's gone on. I was not aware that you had been going on for 225 days consistently. That's pretty impressive. Just looking forward to kind of diving deep and getting involved. And I did have a lot of fun during Ian working in the EOC. It was a little crazy, but it was fun. But yeah, it's going to be fun getting to know everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin, and welcome to the team, man. That concludes our announcements for the night. So there's nothing left for us to do but hear San close us out. So San, over to you, my friend. Finish us out strong.
Hey, thanks, Drew. As always, man, beautiful job on leading this session that we have once a month. Guys, we're going to have a beautiful event at the end of the month. You talk about the South Branch Leadership Conference and all the beautiful training that Jeff has put together. Again, the agenda that Kate has put together is taking a group of people to put this together for all of us. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so freaking excited. I cannot wait. When I was looking at the agenda earlier today, I shared it with Art and also Jeff. I can tell you what, man, they're impressed with what we're doing. They're impressed with what you guys have done over these 225 operation days. I've heard that, you know, from Art, that he is so proud of how we're able to still have that same energy as if it was day one of an operation. I don't know how you guys do it, but you know, I'm just proud of being associated with TR, but especially associated with South Branch. Again, I met a lot of you guys on site. Met a lot of you guys on operations. Met several of some of the volunteer gray shirts, even at StaffX. And I'm gonna tell you, you're not just only beautiful in what you guys do in your appearance, but inside. What we do, you have to have that passion inside. You have to have the purpose of wanting to do it. Phil talked about how we should and make sure that people know that we're out there to serve them. No other reason but to serve them, to bring them back to normalcy after they probably have had their worst day, worst night, worst weekend, worst week. We're out there to do that. And for you guys to be doing that for 225 days straight says something about you guys. What we're going to be doing at the end of the month, we're going to have some professional development. We're going to have some great operational things that we're going to be doing, some great training. But what I want you guys to really do, man, is to get to know each other, be able to collaborate with each other, laugh, reminisce, joke. Remember the things that you guys have done over this year and what you're planning to do in the rest of 2023. But I also want you guys to do it. I'm going to be a little greedy about this. When you guys have those functional meetings, I want you to bring some of those prospects for us. We want to build our bench. We want to bring people like we're going to have at that conference. We want them to join our ranks. So if you have people that are interested in doing mobilization, planning, logistics, finance, bring those names with you. Bring those people that are wanting to join and join this party that we're developing here. When I got here in May, I believe it was May 26th of last year, you know, I had some little butterflies, even though I knew Team Rubicon since 2014. I still wanted to make sure that when I go out, that you see me as being genuine, that you see who I am. What you see today, what you saw yesterday, and what you're going to see for the rest of the year, that is me. I want to make sure that we continue to build a team that is about partnering with each other. No silos. I want everybody to understand that we can learn from each other, no matter if you've been here for 13 years, 12 years, 5 years, 10 months, 2 days, 1 day. We're here to build a collaborative team and to continue to serve the communities that need us, from Oklahoma, Texas, all the way to Kentucky, North Carolina, all the way down to Florida. Region 4, Region 6, we are South Branch. But first and foremost, we are TR. And we're going to rock it every day that we go out there and serve our communities. We're going to rock it when we go down to the South Branch. We're going to make Mississippi know that we are there, hopefully in a positive way. And I know you guys will. But when we hit Mississippi, man, let's make sure that, you know, 1 April, that everybody goes back home safe. Everybody goes back home and can brag about what we've learned, who we met, what we will continue to do for the rest of the year. Guys, you taking the time to meet up between 7 o'clock if you're on the Central Standard Time or 8 o'clock if you're on the East Coast time. You guys are taking the time to hear what we are going to plan as a team. And that's what we're going to always be. That's why they call us Team Rubicon. If you guys want to stay on the line after this and have questions after the call, again, humbly, I love being the leader with Drew and sharing the stage with a lot of our full-time staff and all of our gray shirts. None of us can do what we do by ourselves. But again, I salute you guys again. And again, if you got that pinky finger up, cheers. Have a good evening. Back over to you, Drew.
Thank you, son. All right, friends. Hey, that concludes our call. You don't have to go home. You can stay here. If you have questions, feel free to ask them either in the chat or hang around, raise your hand, we'll call on them. I saw Robin's hand go up. We'll definitely hit her first. But that wraps your South Branch Monthly All Hands. So have a great night, and we'll see you guys all real soon. I'm going to kill the recording. I can click the button. Teams is not cooperating. There it goes.